Okay, well, with this one, it says the poor are the altar upon which you make your sacrifice. Saint Gregory of Nyssa. Nyssa. hmm. Well, whenever we think of the poor, it might not be in money, it might be in spirit, or it might not be in spirit, it might be in money or wealth, I should say. But this is something that is could be taken as a metaphor. Um, I know in Orthodox Christianity, we definitely see the spiritually weak and the spiritually poor are people who need the abundance of wealth in the spiritual teachings and the spiritual healings of the faith from the faithful. I can tell you that it has enriched my life with the church fathers. They have definitely helped to build that, well, that altar, if you want to put it that way. And there's definitely a sacrifice to it. There's definitely sacrifices that um a very recent uh well I well church father. I mean, he even he even goes to a recent church father for referencing this as well in a more of a humility kind of sense and in a living the life of it as well. And I'm referencing the one that's that has passed, many moons ago in St. Paisos, and then the current one is Father Peter Ayres on the Orthodox Ethos. He's he does a really good YouTube series, and I've watched several interviews with him, and he is awesome, and especially a really great ambassador for the Greek Orthodox Church, and definitely a really really smart man and a very wisdomatic um, person person to listen to, especially for those that want to get familiar with the faith or just are inquiring or just want to expand their knowledge. He's a good one. Um, but he said something more on the realm of, and maybe I'll throw it in here one of these days in this series. But he said something you should be worried about saving, more worried about somebody's salvation than their feelings. And that's huge. That's huge because you have to sacrifice temporal or um or expedient gratitude kind of things or immediate gratitude kind of things. Instant gratification is what I was looking for, which a lot of people use. You have to sacrifice those kind of things to spiritually enrich yourself, but it also enriches yourself in other respects too. It makes you a more disciplined person, it makes you a more respectful person, it makes you a more grateful person. Because things just getting handed to you, you're not going to really be grateful for much of anything. Um, but it is definitely enriching yourself and becoming, well, poor and rich. When we think of it in the sense, we think of it in the sense of money and wealth. With Orthodox Christianity, we're probably one of the only faiths. I know there's definite Catholics and Protestants and probably plenty of others that cross the board that are just as pious when it comes to religions and you know getting a proper context with that. I don't want to just make a blanket statement because I know there's definitely people out there that are pious when it comes to these, well, this innumerable wealth that comes from you making spiritual sacrifices. And as Father Peter Ayres put it, again, you have to, live the life. You have to live in a well in commun well I well best way I can put it is in communion, is in a communal type of relationship with God, and that is building upon your spiritual wealth to help the poor, help the spiritually poor, help them out to come to God. And with your sacrifices, you're doing it not only for the good of your salvation, but for the good of others. And that's a lot of things where it's easy to evangelize on this, but it's harder to do it, take the cross upon yourself and to help others and to lead others to it. Um, and that is definitely one of those things where it is another theme that goes throughout Christianity, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's definitely, well, it's tragic too, but it's also the struggle and respecting it and becoming a part of it and making those sacrifices to become spiritually wealthy and become a grateful, respectful, disciplined, and forgiving person. It's taught me a lot. And I sure hope that it can teach others. And it doesn't necessarily have to come from a Christian perspective, because that's part of the beauty of the church fathers' messages. They can be used very universally as well. But I know primarily it speaks to Christianity. Um, and yeah, I mean, just keep up with those, with those kind of things, and it will really enrich and make your spiritual wealth stronger and not poorer. So make time for the poor that are at that altar to make your sacrifice worthwhile and their sacrifice richer.